next part of the tour was of the food, which is fun. Like, we got to try different food. I am a vegetarian, so I didn't try all the options. I did try the fries, which they're bringing back. I guess they used to have like fresh cut fries that were cut there. And so they're bringing those back, and they're going to be really good. They were super yummy. And then they also had this like dessert. I can't remember what it was called, but the dessert was so good. Let me tell you, I will be the first to like order 1,000 of those. They are so good. Honestly, that was like a highlight of the tour. Besides the obviously coaster stuff, was trying the food.
Of our catering comes out of this kitchen. Like I said, I do have 3 facilities. I can feed 2,000 people out of Fest Road, 2,000 people out of just this facility in Parkside Pavilion, and then 750 people out of Carousel Road. So the majority of the food comes out of this location up here in this kitchen. We did over 899 cases of burgers. So for totals, it was 89,900 burgers just last year. So to put that in perspective for you guys, a lot of our stuff comes out of this kitchen. So over here in this back corner where we have our tilt skillets that you guys see, we make cheese sauce for the entire park. So we did over 3,000 gallons of cheese sauce for the park. So anywhere that you get mac and cheese, we get that cheese sauce. In the corner there, we have what we call a tipper time machine. That allows us to bag the cheese and then put a staple around it, and then we can then freeze it on bread racks and then disperse it across the park. So the majority of the catering comes through this kitchen. If you guys want to follow me, we'll go to this side. This side is where we do most of the commissary production. So anytime that you guys get lettuce, tomato, onion, it comes up through here first. We get all the produce in bulk, we slice it, pan it, and then we disperse it through the park with wall trucks. So based on our commissary, like I said, we did over 3,000 gallons of cheese sauce, which was 75 tilt batches. $18,000 in sliced strawberries for the funnel cake locations. So that just puts that into perspective for you guys. If you were to see staff here today, I would have 7 or 8 people in that over there, 5 or 6 people here, not including the staff just to run the patios on the pavilions to run the food. I get produce 3 times a week. I have my walk-in cooler back here and my walk-in freezer. So with me having the back dock, Cisco, instead of going up to the warehouse, breaking it down, and then sending it, Cisco delivers right off this back dock. So it'll come right through the gate and drop by the skid. And then that comes in into the cooler and the freezer, and then my staff will go in and rotate the stock. So a lot of the times in the freezer, everything's by the pallet. So for instance, chicken tenders go through a lot of chicken tenders. For instance, that's for all of catering, so between all 3 facilities. So like I said, sometimes due to space being so limited, I have to set up a time frame with my warehouse. So I'll call the warehouse manager, someone on the walkie, say, chef one warehouse, and we'll say, go ahead. And I said, I need you to bring me another skid. So we try to time that on very busy days where we're pumping that through. It's like I said, you do get really maxed on capacity, so it's really about timing. You know, we sit down with the menu and say, what time do we need to start, and then just keep going from there. And then just keep open communication. Sometimes in between facilities, if I have all 3 facilities going, we do the same thing. lot faster up here than they can there. So then we'll load up the truck and then we transport.
What events do you start sweating the most at?
The one in multiple facilities. Now it's nice when I put that order together because then, like I said, I can work with the warehouse team and I can say, you know, this is my order for this facility, this is my order for that facility. As a chef, there's always something that happens. A piece of equipment is going to go down, or we had a buyout last year and instead of eating all the fruit because it rained, now they switched to mac and cheese. And I've never cooked so much mac and cheese in my life. So we're trying to figure out what other facilities we had where it had tilt skillets that we could do the mac and cheese and then, like I said, transport. So a lot of it's just timing and communication.
Well, thank you for what you do. Tough job. Thank you.
But yeah, we like to provide a fresh product for the park. You know, I could go to the produce company and order it and cut, but now I'm compromising quality and shelf life. So as long as I have machines like over here, the Roboku slicing machines that have different parts, we order it all in whole, and then my team will just cut and go. And then obviously you can see like just the amount of pans and things that it takes in a facility to get that done. I have a meeting every week with group sales. So I'll sit down in that meeting, we'll go through how we're feeding, do I have any dietary restrictions, do I have to move any equipment, and just kind of map that thing out. Because same thing, if I know I'm going to get a bigger event, I'm going to clear some of the space out and I'm going to drop some more hot boxes. So now I'm just getting with maintenance like, hey, can you make sure all the electric's working? Can you make sure this is working? Like I said, something always happens in that. So you just have to anticipate your needs and needs for the guests. I've had several times where I had a guest have a severe dietary restriction and come to me personally, chef, what can I have? And then I might have to make them a separate plate, but I want to make sure that everybody has a quality meal and that's what we're here in the park. That's my job as a chef, and then to take myself down to my team and teach them as well. Yes, sir.
You talked about dietary needs and you see people being a lot more health conscious. What is Dorney doing to kind of implement some more healthier options?
So I'm trying to do, like, introducing, like, if I can do a chicken Caesar salad, no croutons, and just giving them that gluten-free option. Maybe I can bring in a gluten-free bun. We do have, like, the Beyond Burger that we offer. We have vegetarian options. Not only bringing in that product, but then teaching that staff how to properly cook that product and where, so we're not cross-contaminating either. I mean, to be honest, you know, we do hire 14, 15, 16-year-old kids at the park, and to be able to teach them allergens and the severe need for them to be careful in what they do is the hard part of the job, but if we can get them to do that. And then all of our fryers, not necessarily here in catering, but in all our locations, we have dedicated fryers, like this is fries only, this one is tenders only, this one onion rings only, so we're not having that cross-contamination issue. That way we don't have to worry about getting anybody sick. You know, if I get people sick, I no longer have a job. So I wouldn't want that on anyone. You know what I mean? I love my job and what I do, and I love to give people a good quality meal. Here we do have some samples if you guys are hungry. So this year in Center Stage, we're going to bring back the fresh cut side. In Iron Mill Grill, we're going to take away the pork sandwich and bring you the Italian sausage sub. So this is going to have onions and peppers on the hoagie roll with marinara sauce. And then chef, can you bring me some tasty cakes? I need to get them.
Yes, they have. I love my guys.
All right, so what we did here is we took the tasty cake and we coat it in funnel batter and then deep fry it, and then we'll top it with powdered sugar. And we serve this in Iron Mill Grill as well.
Which tasty cake is it?
This is the original.
Another part of the tour was the different rides we got to see. So we got to go behind the scenes areas, obviously with the food, and then we got to go over to Hydra, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and we got to see the ride area, and then we got to talk to a ride, like I believe operator or mechanic, and we got to talk about like how the rides run and how they like updated its system because they had a new system put in, and they talked about that. And then we also got to do get to see some of the areas that you couldn't go to while the ride's operating, and it was cool to like go underneath the JoJo roll. And then also we got to walk around the first like 5, I believe, inversions of the ride, and we got to see those, and it was cool. And it was awesome to get to see that part. And they talked about like all the items that were lost. They see, you know, an X amount of lost items a year, and they have to like, if they can retrieve them, they'll try to, but if not, like it's just you're out of luck, because they do tell people to put their loose icicles away in lockers, and people still don't listen.
Buddy, I'm Mike Harcorn. I'm the electrical foreman here at the park. I oversee everything here from changing light bulbs to working on the rides and changing out motors and stuff like that. So today I'm just going to go over a few things with you as far as what we do and what we can see on the panel view to help troubleshoot rides, especially in a ride stoppage situation. So the first thing is Talon and Hydra are almost identical because they were only 3 years apart. So they both have redundant PLC systems in them, which is programmable logic controllers. They're basically the computers that run the rides. They're the ones that receive all the information from the ride, and then they tell the ride what to do, and all of the ride components what to do. These days, they actually have what they call safety PLCs now, so you can use one controller to operate an entire ride. When these two rides were installed, they did a thing where they called them redundant PLCs, so there was 2 of them, and it was done for increased safety because now you have to have both controllers agreeing on what's being seen at any given time before something will change. So both have to see the same train position in order for a brake to open or something like that. One controller can't just do everything on its own. So it actually brings the old phrase, 2 heads are better than 1 to life in a real life application.
But now you said it's done with one controller?
Yeah, these days they're actually red PLC modules. They're called safety PLCs. They have different specifications that allow for use of one controller. So this is the block screen. This is the screen that operations is on most of the time, and sometimes it'll be the screen that's up when I first come up on a call. It's basically the ride layout. It tells you if you have any alarms or not, and what the error number is. It'll tell you what mode you're in, whether you're in auto mode, manual mode, or transfer mode. The green squares are photo eyes, which are a redundant sensor in the zone. We'll go over that a little more in a little bit. So if it's green, that means it's clear. If it's red, that means it's occupied and flagged. If it's an empty circle, that means it's currently clear. And if it's filled in yellow, that means it's currently occupied. First screen that we use on a call, and I would say it gets looked at least 99% of the time, is the error display screen. The error display screen, when you go to it, it's going to give you their error number, and it's going to give you a message of what the error is, what the controllers thought it saw. Then it's going to give you a proposed action. So how do you go about fixing the problem? And then it gives you, once the problem has been corrected, how do you restart the ride? It'll tell you what sequence of buttons to press to restart. This little square down here is actually an error lookup button. If you press it, it'll bring up a little keypad, and you can type in any error number, and then you can review the error even after it's been cleared. So, like if I come on a call, I can look at what the error number is. I can verify, okay, it's safe for me to try and restart to get everybody off, and then I can look up the error again after, just to make sure I know what's going on, and then I can work on it. This screen here is a proximity switch and photo eye screen. Basically, this screen here only shows sensors that read train positioning. So, and it's broken down into your different zones, and then each zone has subsections in them. So like your service will have your approach zone, and then your enter, and then your exit. This is just another way. This screen will tell you whether a sensor is currently showing flagged or not, whereas the other one is more about retaining block information. But again, you have your green boxes for your photo eyes, and they'll tell you if it's red or green. The photo eyes are a redundancy. The proxies are primarily used for your block information. The photo eyes are just there in the event that you would have a sensor that would fail in like an off state or something like that, so it wouldn't flag. If the photo eye becomes flagged but the prox doesn't, and they disagree, it'll generate an alarm or vice versa. So that's primarily what the photo eyes are for. This is your axle counter screen. The big important thing for this one, especially to take away from it, is in the block zones on the prox one that I just went over. Every prox that reads a train is supposed to count how many cars it sees go by. So you'll see on the display, here's an approach A and B. A is 10-203 and B is 20-203. They're staggered so that as each car goes by, they should read 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. They should get all the way up to 8 because there's 8 cars on a train. And then the computer does the math and adds them together to get to 16. That is very important because the way the program is written is that cumulative value of 16 will only add up if the proxies are flagged in the right order. So what can happen, and we have seen happen, is if you have a sensor that's starting to go bad, once in a while it will actually flag extra times out of sequence. So both sensors will read 8, but you'll only have a count of 14 or 13 or something like that. And that zone isn't going to clear unless all the counts are correct. So the ride could have ran perfectly normal, but you'll have a stoppage. The next train that would try and enter this zone, it's going to stop because this zone isn't going to clear properly because of your counts. So that's always something that we're looking at, especially if we come to a ride on a stoppage. Okay, what do my counts look like? Because we want to know, okay, did I have a sensor that maybe didn't flag when it was supposed to? Do I have extra counts? Where are we at with that? So sometimes going through all the screens, that can slow down how quickly it takes us to get a ride back up, or at least get the people off so that we can work on. And then each individual zone has its own diagnostic screen. This screen is more important because unlike all the other ones that we've seen so far, that's mostly block information and train reading information. This stuff in the diagnostic screen is actually what's in the zone. So for example, if you have a brake out on the ride, this will tell you whether or not the PLC is telling the solenoid to be on or off to open the brake. This will tell you if you have sensors on your air cylinders to move your combs up and down, or to open your brakes, or to read whether your brakes are open or closed. This will show you that information, and so it's a little more in-depth, a little more specific to that area, because not every error that we're going to get is going to be based on train position. Sometimes it's going to be, hey, I told the brake to open, but this prox didn't see that it was open. Somebody needs to go check it out, right? So that's what this screen is kind of helpful for. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why sometimes when we have stoppages, you know, we want to try and get everybody off as fast as we can, but sometimes the only time to collect that information is while it's still up and going, right? Because if you have an intermittent issue, if I just walk up and clear it right away without gathering any information, then I basically learn nothing for the next time. If it would happen the next time, or I haven't learned anything to go in the right direction to try and get it fixed. So sometimes that can be the delay in getting a restart or getting a ride open, is just trying to go through everything, gather all that information, and make sure that we have what we need to get the ride up and going again. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
Do you upgrade components or systems, or is it pretty much just like replacement one-to-one parts throughout the lifespan?
So generally speaking, We do a lot of one-to-one part replacement. We have been starting to do more controls upgrades. Like we did the controls upgrade on Steel Force last year. That was a complete overhaul. We redid all new PLCs, all new remote racks, brand new lift drive, all kinds of stuff. So we're starting to upgrade some of the older stuff now, but for the most part on our maintenance end, it's mostly one-to-one part replacement.
The programming's done by the manufacturer, or do you guys get involved with that too?
So the ride manufacturer, they're the ones that design the ride, and they kind of give the specifications to an engineering firm, and the engineering firm is the one that's contracted to actually do the programming. The only programming we really do anymore is we'll use the program and the software to do troubleshooting steps, because there are just some times where even though I have the ride errors, it could just be something happened out of sequence, so the problem isn't actually what the error is saying, it's actually something else that's causing that error to come up. So we mostly use the software for troubleshooting and things like that. We really don't do a lot of in-house programming, and it's mostly for liability reasons.
When you're in the station, it's my understanding that the train won't move unless all the harnesses are locked.
On this one, yes.
Is the sensor on the train, or is it on the track, or is it a combination of both?
There is a sensor. There is a prox on every harness on the train.
Okay.
So once you get down to 3 clicks on the lap bar is when your proc should be made, and then they go all the way down to 8 clicks.
Mm-hmm.
So once you should have your procs reading all the way through clicks 3 through 8, and that's how you would find your adjustment if you would have to change one.
Mm-hmm.
Is after you change one, you move it to the spot, and then you test it at every click and make sure it still works, and then you tighten it down, put the cover back on, and then you would move on to starting to restart the ride.
How does the train communicate with the PLC then? Is that some Bluetooth
So
magic?
on this particular one, on the combs, there's 3 fingers on the sides that come up, and then on the train itself, there's 3 plates. And when the combs come up, those fingers make contact with those plates, and that's how you get your signal to and from the train. And then as long as everything is good, once you hit those go buttons, the combs will come down, and then the train can go out.
So it's a direct connect.
Yeah.
Nice.
One last one, I guess. That's for me, so anyway. Most all the trains, when they're coming into the station, when they're loading in, they're coming in off the one block and coming in, exit and load, I always hear a loud click on the back end of the train. What is that? I hear it especially when I don't being memorized.
Say that again?
It's a loud click coming in the station on the back end of the train.
I mean, it could just be, there is if on the way into the station, there's typically a plastic or nylon bumper.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what happens is when it runs over that, you have like an anti-rollback dog or a chain
It's
dog,
smacking on the metal.
and it raises it up, and then it has to come back down, and the system actually counts how many rollback and chain dogs it reads coming back into the station.
Mm-hmm.
So that could just be, your dog is up and then it just drops right back down, so it's making a little bit of noise. That's all that could be.
Okay.
Where is the control system housed for this ride?
It is underneath the station, like right under the side of that block wall there.
Hopefully, okay. All right, any other questions? We have one over here. One over there.
How do the ride operators know when there's a problem?
Well, so if there's an error that comes up, there's an audible alarm on the panel, and even on the block screen here, where this red button says OK, it'll start flashing red, and it'll have an error number in it, and it'll make an audible noise out of the panel, like beep, 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 whatever sound it makes, and then they know that there's a problem, and they have access to the error screen. A lot of the other ones I showed you are maintenance only, but they have access to that error screen too, so they can try and get error information as well.
So they'll know when they're...
Yeah.
We have a great relationship with maintenance.
Not Maytag.
All of our ride areas that come within 8 feet of the ride are fenced off separately than even where we walked in. So some of the older rides, it's a single, excuse me, single key system. We have one key, it's always in the operator booth. If it's removed, the ride is locked out and powered down. A newer ride like Iron Menace, there's actually what we call a trap key, where there's a key in the panel that you remove, which cuts off power to the ride before you can take that to go open the box. So, like I said, we are already locked out, there's no concern. We are going to go into the ride area, down under the Cobra roll, which is inversions number 4 and 5, and you can also get a good view of the JoJo roll coming out of the station. We do ask that you stay off the rocks though, because it's a little slippery over there, but please take all the pictures you want.
How are these stairs that come down like about 6 feet? What are those for?
Right over here?
Yeah.
Oh, it just loops back up, and that's how we get to the actual lift.
No, I meant the stairs that they go down and then just stop.
Oh, that's so maintenance can get down and inspect the couple breaks that are right before. They're at the end of all of the brake runs. One, in case you need to get back to something stopped that far back, and also just provide access down below.
Oh, okay.
And so they're out of the way that when the train's coming in at full speed, there's no risk of anybody hitting them. I've only seen on DNM
the same things, huh?
Thank you.
And then we also got to see a sneak peek of their like costuming area, their like theater, which they don't use right now for shows, but the theater is used for costuming and for Fright Fest and for all the other types of stuff. It's also kind of like a small warehouse where they keep different things, and so they showed us some of the stuff that while we were there. They showed us some of like behind the scenes of Haunt there and behind the scenes of their summer event, and then they also had a Peanuts vehicle out, and they used to be very limited at where they could have their Peanuts characters, but now they have these little cars, and so they can drive them around. It's really cool and really awesome. I love meeting Snoopy. Actually, we got to meet Snoopy there while we were there, or in the morning before the tour. When he came in, we got to take photos with Snoopy, and they had some like exclusive ride merchandise out and stuff, and it was really cool and fun. And then we got to talk to the makeup artist at the end. Like, that was our last stop, was about Haunt, about how they do the makeup for everyone and all of that stuff. So it was just a super fun day, a super chill day. It was a bit rainy, kind of foggy, kind of chilly. It wasn't too snowy though, so that was good.
Go ahead. Move up.
Is everybody?
Oh yeah. But like with all the effects with the lasers, it was pretty cool.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Phil. I'm the manager of entertainment. I have a couple people from my team with me.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan. I'm an area manager in the entertainment department.
Hi everybody, my name is Tara. I am an area manager for entertainment in the creative services side.
Yeah, so we just wanted to bring you into the Good Time Theater for a little bit to show you the space. We don't really use it for a theater so much right now. For the past couple of seasons, we've been doing more special events out in the park rather than bringing people inside. But you know, this is behind the scenes, and even though we don't use it for a typical theater anymore, it still gets used for a lot of things. The theater was originally built for an ice show. So there used to be an ice floor over here. Right now we have some platforms laid down so that we can use it for other things. But we use it for rehearsals, auditions for our stage shows out in the park. We use it for trainings. We use it for our end of season haunt awards for our monsters. So you know, even though it's not a typical theater anymore, it still gets used quite a bit. And we also do a lot of production things in here, and kind of where all of our tech equipment is kind of housed. Just some things I want to point out that we have out for you. Over here by the bay door, we have one of our aqua flames. Those we bought brand new last year. It'll go back on for the steel yard for haunt, and they live behind the Iron Menace sign. And when all four of them are going, it makes it look like there's a cool fire behind. And all it is just water and lights. You just hook it up to the hose and it just runs. And then over here we have a brand new Viva La Fiesta marquee sign that we just finished up. It is going to replace Summer Nights this year. Last year we did Summer Nights, and you know, that didn't really tell the story of what we were trying to do. Viva La Fiesta does a much better job at telling people what that is, and that we're doing a Latin festival rather than a Summer Nights festival. So that was just completed the other day. And then I have an example of one of our cars that we use to get our Peanuts characters throughout the park. For a while, we were only able to do meet and greets in Planet Snoopy because we can't take them super far away from where they're getting dressed. But you know, now we can take them anywhere throughout the park and get them there quickly and easily on our electric golf carts. We have 3 of these to be able to move characters around and be able to do big shows at the main stage with them. And then some other things that we have going on over here, some examples of our outdoor rated IP65 lights that we use throughout the park at our main stage for our haunt, because everything that we do is outside at this point and it has to stay out in the weather for at least 6 months at a time. So the big light right here is an ellipsoidal light, and as you can see on the wall over there, it projects images and then even can make them give motion and rotate. So when we're doing our haunt scare zones, there's not a lot of infrastructure in those because they're just, you know, on the midway. So in order to get a little bit of movement, we use go-go rotators to be able to project patterns and show things. This one is a specific one from the steel yard, I believe. Some gears and wheels. And then I also have here some of our confetti streamer cannons. One of these streamers shoots off this bag of streamers, and if you have ever seen them go off, like, you wouldn't think that this is all it is. When these unravel, it's 20-foot strips of paper, and then they go everywhere, but they're pretty cool. Something else that I wanted to point out here is these little guys. This is just a dryer fan and some tubing. Was anybody at Haunt last year? Did anybody see the large smokestacks in the steel yard? This is how we achieve that effect. With one fog machine, I can go through 3 of those big smokestacks with these fans and this tubing. Just like a little behind the scenes thing that I thought was kind of cool. And just a way of, you know, we don't need a lot of fog machines to be able to do everything. You know, our budget is not a super high, big one like some of our larger parks. So we always have to do a lot with a little, and that's one of the examples of how we do it. Also over here we have one of our kid Jumpy Jam steel pans that we use for the Steel Pan Jam show in the water park and at Viva La Fiesta. At the end of each show, we get the opportunity for kids to play, and it's super cute. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you come out to Viva La Fiesta and try it. If you want to play it at some point today, feel free. And then we have an example of one of our tugs that we use for Grand Carnival to pull our parade floats. We don't pull parade floats anymore, but we're still using them to haul equipment throughout the park to get set up, so that way everybody can enjoy all the events that we do. We have also an example of one of the nice costumes from Grand Carnival on the back of the tug, the lion costume. And then back behind all of you there is some racks of different things, as well as a table with some of the audio consoles that we use for our shows, the lighting console that we use to program all the lights throughout the park, the Dominator, the main midway lights, the main stage, and then one of the fog machines that we use. Speaking of fog machines, on that racking there, those big white totes, that's how we store all of our fog fluid. Each one of those is 275 gallons. Can any of you take a guess at how many of those totes that we use for fog fluid each year? We use 3 of them. So we have 3 full containers of fluid each year, and we get through almost all of it. There's maybe 20 gallons left in that one, and then the one to the right of it is for the bubble machine, or not bubble, but foam that we use for tricks and treats. So we go through quite a lot of consumables each year that we have to buy every year and use. So, just any questions on anything out here?
How long does it take you to set up
For haunt, it takes quite a while. We're always working on haunt projects throughout the entire year to be ready. We typically start putting things out in the park in mid-July behind the scenes. So like we're setting up Necropolis, we're going through all the mazes and making sure that they're working. And then we usually open for the season September 12th-ish. So it's about a month and a half of setting things up and getting them prepared. But we're constantly working on haunt projects. Tara creates many of the things that we do, and she's always doing something, getting ready for haunt.
So you got.
Jonathan is going to take you into the costume shop next and show you a few things in there. If you know Alfundo, you're going to enjoy that. And then Tara will demonstrate some haunt things in there.
This is a raised stage there?
Right to the costume shop.
All the way down to the back curtain here. Just stand in front of it for me. Photos and then move on and down. Back in, we're all friends here. You can take some photos, yes. Yes, we don't touch. Grab your photos and then move on down so we can fit everyone in here. Alright. So as you walked by me and our table of Alfundos, the 2 in the front are 2 of the original Alfundo heads back from the 1940s and 1960s that were so graciously donated to us by a good friend of the park. Obviously we don't use these Alfundo heads on a day-to-day basis. They are strictly here for events like this, and eventually we're hoping to get them displayed somewhere in the park eventually because they're in rough shape. But the 2 behind those are the ones that we use. Alfredo is the one that comes out during haunt, and Alfundo is out during the daytime on like our bookend seasons or any sort of like special events or holidays. Behind me is Morgan. I'm sure you all are familiar with him. He's our Steel Force monster. Does anyone know why his name is Morgan? Yeah. Right, Morgan is the manufacturer of the coaster Steel Force. So again, not a very common character, but it is something that we have to put out when we want to for a special event. Alfundo's costumes that you see hanging up, all of them except the one in the middle, the classic clown costume, were all made in-house here by our talented seamstresses for like a patriotic holiday. We had him in a Grand Carnival suit. Alfredo's costume is there, and then the daytime Halloween costume is there for Alfundo as well. I'm gonna squeeze on down here, but everyone just stay where they're at. I'm gonna come here behind this back here. This is an example of a costume that we wouldn't necessarily make in-house, but that we would help maintain for Hot Rhythm Nights, which will be returning this summer as part of Viva La Fiesta. and then the ones that are hanging here on the rack are all ones that we would make in-house. So we are fortunate that we have Peanuts characters here at the park, and we get to make some of their exclusive overlays that we have. So this is an example of a shirt that Peppermint Patty is going to get to wear this patriotic season for Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, all that jazz. So you'll be able to see her in that. If you've seen Peanuts Block Party out on the main stage, these shirts are what our performers wear. And these were all handmade in-house here by our talented seamstresses. They hate me that I had them design this shirt because it's very difficult to line up the stripes because of how the shirt was made, but obviously you can tell they've done a wonderful job on accomplishing that. And then a few years ago we did a show called All About That Brass. Has anyone seen that show before? It was a traveling brass band. So these were the costumes a part of that show, and all of these diamond patterns that you see hanging up here came on bolts of fabric and were made in-house of all different types of these little jumpsuits, clam diggers, button-up shirt. There's a vest over here as well. And then we would buy just like their undershirts from a local store. This is an example of how we can add embellishments to costumes that have already been made. So if you were here during Halloween, we did a show called The Shrieks, and this is the Wolf Man's costume, just a general brown leather jacket that we bought, and then added the fur to the cufflinks and coming out of the pockets here. So just little things that the ladies do here that are super, super talented. There's lots of examples down here on the bottom shelf of all the different types of shoes that we use, from actual dance heels, actual dance boots, to a more elaborate boot this is something that our Vampira performer wore during Halloween. So obviously there's a nod to a vampire here as well. Behind these gentlemen here, there is a large 55-gallon drum of laundry detergent. So this is to show you how much laundry detergent we go through in an entire season. There's lots of laundry that's done, from all the haunt costumes to performer costumes, Alfonso's costumes, Peanuts costumes. It all gets washed every day, 7 days a week. So we go through a lot of laundry detergent here. I'm gonna have you guys do a little loop around the costume shop here. I'll be here if you have any questions, but thanks for stopping by, and you're gonna head back out that door over by Kylie. Yeah. Kylie, wave your hand, and you're gonna go see Tara then. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. One here.
Are you hiring these ships?
We are.
Yes,
we are.
There you go, Bernie. I can tell. You work out there. That work this time.
You just went over.
The old ones, like the new ones are fine, but the old ones are so creepy. I think he's cute. I don't mind clowns, but like those ones just creepy.
No, yeah, the new one is a little bit nicer, more palatable.
100%. I have heard that so many times. The actors come in all different, sets of Welcome, everyone. My name is Tara. I am the area manager for creative services here at Dorney Park. I am in charge of everything spooky and sparkly. All the items that you see back here on the shelf have been made by my team. I would say 90% of them. We have some things that we purchased from some of our vendors, but for the most part, everything here is handmade for our haunt attraction. And we have many, many more pieces like this. On a haunt night, any given night, we have between 300 and 350 actors that come through the costume and makeup department. They obviously don't come through here. We have them at the bottom of the park in my office, which is called the Crypt, where we house everybody. But they'll come in. I have about 16 to 19 makeup artists. Each makeup artist gets about 15 minutes per person to get them fully in makeup and out the door and ready for the night. So it is pretty much controlled chaos when you're down there, but it is a well-oiled machine. We get everybody out and ready to go to get to their attractions on time for you guys to enjoy their acting. Does anybody have any questions for me about anything that you see on the counters or haunt or anything like that? No questions on haunt? Oh
Well,
my God. Yes.
So when down in, was it, what do you call it, down the steelyard?
Yes.
When I walked down there for the first time, we had those big canisters there with smoke going through
Yes,
and all.
yes.
That was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, well, that was Bill's brilliant idea right there, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he had come up with the idea of this, and I think the best way to fill that area was to put those shipping containers. My team, I am in charge of like our build team and our scenic team, so once we come up with these ideas, we build them, and then we treat them, and install them, and all that stuff.
Well, you did a fantastic job.
Aw,
Great
I
event
appreciate
at
that.
Hershey Park. I think the guys are.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Amazing.
How many, anybody else have been to our haunt? Yeah? Are you enjoying it? Anything that you would want to see? No? We provide it all? Well, for
A million times better than Great Adventure.
we have some new, we're putting some twists on some things, so I can't reveal anything, but I mean, every year we kind of, at the end of the year, we sit down, the big group of us, and we're like, what worked, what didn't work, what do you think we want our guests to see, what do we want to see? And then we kind of evaluate things. You know, we've had some attractions that have been popular for years and years, but you know, sometimes they get a little stale. So we want to add some new characters, or we want to add some new prop pieces, right? And then that's where my team comes in. We want to add some more tombstones, let's say, then we're going to be making tombstones all summer or something like that. But we not only work on haunt, we also work on our summer festival, our new festival, the Viva La Fiesta. So if you've been to Summer Nights last year, we do all the scenic elements around that event as well. So we're busy all year round. And then once we get a little lull, after we get everything going and Viva La Fiesta is going, we kind of turn our sights to a haunt and makeup and things like that, where we do some sculpting and casting molding of all of our pieces. We start to really think about what new characters we want to add for the year and what will that involve in. So we're going to be working with our costume department, we're working with our tech department. All of those departments come together so that we can make it one big, cohesive, interactive experience for y'all. So that's kind of what we're working on now. Right this minute, I'm working on our lovely Lindsay here, giving her a decade of application on her arm by using one of our house-made silicone pieces. And we use a 2-part silicone adhesive from Smooth On. If anybody is familiar with Smooth On, it's a company that's very local. It's 5 minutes from here. It's like my toy store. I love it to death. And that's where I get all my things to create, to get the things that I make. So we use a lot of that stuff. So I use the 2-part adhesive to put the application on her, and then I go in a little bit with some of our alcohol-based paint. We use alcohol-based because it really is waterproof. So, you know, those days like outside today where it's kind of a little bit rainy or it's misty or something, it's not going to melt off their face. It's going to stay permanent until it comes off. And then we just kind of gross.
My kids are gonna love this when I get home, aren't they?
Yes. Just don't go to the grocery store on your way home, because that has happened. But yeah, so you know, they get about 15 minutes. My artists get about 15 minutes per person. There's about 350 people that come through our makeup department in about 3.5 hours. So we're moving. These will stay on all night, and the best thing about these things is when you're done with them, they peel off your skin. There's no added adhesive. We're not using spirit gum. We don't use anything like that. We try to make this as quick and painless for the actor itself. A lot of our actors, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, we have to watch what we put on their skin, obviously. So we want to use the best products that we can, not to irritate them. And that's why we go with masks and things like that too. That makes it a little bit easier on them. So Well, I hope you all come to Haunt this year, and I hope you come to Summer Nights to see all of the good stuff that we're getting ready for you. But I think you guys are on the road.
Yep, this is our last stop. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
You guys see that woman up close.
All right, we're gonna go back to where we came.
What's that?
And it all went to charity. So like that was the cool part of this. And so if you like this, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more future stuff coming from my channel. And I have some really cool coaster trips planned and coaster stuff planned. I cannot speak apparently. And I hope that you enjoy and have fun and enjoy. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.